I'm starting this video off with an apology. What happened was I was gonna film it last night after my class, and then someone invited me to go see Frozen, and I said yes, and completely forgot I had to do this video. So sorry about that. I was wondering if you guys had noticed that Joel is posting a lot of feminist stuff lately in response to Isla Vista shootings. So go Joel, because we don't give him a lot of credit, but I like that guy. Karina, I loved your video, and that pot pie looked amazing. I hope boyfriend appreciated it. And your video inspired a thought for me about the media. One interesting thing about the media where we are in time right now is that it's changing a lot. Journalism is not the same as it used to be with things like Twitter and Facebook and blogs and other online sources. And on top of that, the newspaper industry is dying, and newspapers are cutting their investigative reporting sections of the newspaper. They are firing a lot of people. They're expecting people to be both photographers and journalists, and there are a lot of other factors that are making newspapers weaker and weaker as a whole in reporting information to the public. Journalism is really important, especially in a democracy like ours, to keep the government accountable and to keep corporations accountable, because if we don't know what's going on, then we don't know how to vote, and we don't know how to make our voices heard on issues. When newspapers are having more and more difficulty keeping up because of the internet, then we have fewer resources to hold our government accountable. Right now, there are only 2 newspapers in the country who pretty much provide all of the national and international news to all the other newspapers in the country. And those newspapers are the New York Times and the LA Times. And these are both newspapers that have extensive resources for reporting, but pretty much every other newspaper gets a lot of their information for their own reporting from those newspapers. And you can see how that's problematic if our information is only coming from 2 base sources. This is relevant to what we were talking about this past week with the feminist movement on Twitter. Wondering if this movement, if this internet discussion would actually make a difference in talking about feminism. I think that social media can be an important platform, but it's also not provoking like a very in-depth discussion. It's keeping it on a shallow level at 140 characters. And newspapers and magazines, which normally would be able to provoke a in-depth discussion, like I said, are at a weak point right now. Average people don't have the resources to conduct investigative journalism and get in-depth knowledge on what's happening in corporations and the government and other entities of power within our country. This brings up the question of what platforms are really going to be able to make a big difference in our lives and spread ideas in the future, because we are at an in-between point right now. It would be difficult to build up from people getting used to easy, short blobs of news on Twitter or Tumblr to putting the effort into searching for more in-depth news and more complex articles. But really, that is an important thing for people to do if they want to be well informed on issues and what's going on. Short blurbs of news are never going to be able to fully explain issues like feminism, which is partially why I think that the Yes All Women movement have inspired a lot of hate in response by the male gender, and again, defensiveness in response to the woman, female gender, and a lot of circular hate going on the internet that just kind of makes both extremists more extreme and doesn't really get us anywhere in trying to understand each other as categories of society. So basically, I just want to bring up this issue and ask you guys how you feel about that, where you think that media is going, if you think that it's not as depressing as I may be making it sound, and if you have faith in the American public to find another way to make journalism happen and get information out there in order to preserve the integrity of the democracy as we know it.